What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel, guys. We are here with Lost in the Pond. I thought this was an interesting one. We got 6 major culture shocks I experienced in the U.S. Midwest. I don't travel around Texas too often. I have been around Texas, but in the U.S., I've been a certain amount of places. Don't travel too far. I've drove to Oklahoma. That's about it. Other places I flew, like Florida, New York, places like that. But all in all, like when it comes to Texas, you driving somewhere, you driving a long time before you hit that next major city. But the U.S., the Midwest, definitely, I'm not too familiar with it. I don't like I said, I don't travel too much, but when we talking about Texas, hey, I got you. But we finna check this out, see what it's about. Y'all hit that subscribe button, send down those recommendations.
Hello, I'm Lawrence, and I'm on a quest to uncover all of the memos that Britain and America lost in the pond, and one of those memos pertains to culture shocks. Specifically, culture shocks that I, as a British man, experienced after moving to the Midwest of the United States. And I know what you're thinking, ooh, Lawrence, he's just going to talk about how terrible the snow is again, or how the temperatures are unfit for humans. No, I've done all that. The winter is over. It's time to get mad about something else. In other words, this is a fresh look at the things that I found weird after moving to Indiana and then later Chicago. Having moved to the Midwest 14 years ago from Britain, here are culture shocks I experienced.
Yeah, see, I can tell you a little bit about Texas, maybe Oklahoma in the South. The Midwest, I've never been to Indiana or Chicago. So up north, up there, well, Midwest for him, definitely never been in those areas, but I've been up a little north, just New York.
In the Midwest.
So this is definitely
it's quite possible you've heard me talk about mosquitoes before and how in my first year of living in the United States they almost took my face off.
Gosh.
But the Midwest is known for other flying things that get in your face, and one of those things is gnats. And there's a very timely reason that I should talk about gnats, because about 2.7859 million of them ended up on my front porch yesterday.
Oh my God, that got me itching right now. I don't know. It's a certain season because we get those too bad, and they just be in one spot. It's not like they just you see one. It'll be a gang of them just in one spot. Like you move over and you just hit a gnat's gang or something.
And for those of you asking, yes, I did initially think they were mosquitoes, and no, I didn't go out to greet them. But this is something that can just happen in the Midwest, right? Swarms of insects with wings just turn up out of nowhere, and you can barely move or see. Now, thankfully, unlike mosquitoes, I am told that gnats don't bite or even sting, which is weird because gnats backward is stang, right? Which sounds like sting. There's a gnat right there on my light. Got in. One of them got in. One of them, a Lone Ranger, is in my studio right now. Might even feature in the video. Yeah. I don't know. That would be really meta, and also it'd be nice to have a guest, do a collab. I've actually got my phone. Look at that. I can't believe it. We do. We have what appears to be a gnat on my lighting equipment.
They're definitely irritating though when they get on
in the studio as we speak. Okay, well, he or she is just going to hang on my lighting equipment. In the meantime, those same gnats, presumably including this one, quickly got out of Dodge amid the following. As an Englishman, I know my fair bit about rain. After all, when we're born, British people are given a complimentary umbrella. But here's the thing, on the whole, we only face light rain. But one of the shocking things I discovered about the Midwest is it doesn't just rain, it pours.
Dang. Oh my. That's how it was. It was like this a couple of days in Texas. I ain't even gonna lie. It was like that. Then a tornado was coming. Man, if you ever come to Texas, or even somewhere in the South, Oklahoma, Texas, wherever, this how it be. This is exactly how it be.
And the really weird thing about this type of rain is that it was sunny just 5 minutes ago, and it will be sunny again in 5 minutes' time. Yeah, it just pops out of nowhere. I mean, in the South, I think they call it a sun shower. And for the most part, I actually really love this. And do you know why that is? Because I don't ever go outside. Watching it from my apartment window is actually quite a cathartic experience. But I've just realised I probably shouldn't talk about the torrential rain with my colleague just up there fixing the lights, because it might still have PTSD. And actually, as an hasn't been all roses for me either, because I do remember there was this one time that I was standing waiting for a bus. And as I recall, I was dressed much the same as I am right now, right down to the pajama bottoms. When all of a sudden, the clouds that weren't even there a moment ago decided to whip out their Super Soaker 5000.
Oh my God.
And this was in Indiana, so the problem was further exacerbated by this. Brits like me like to moan about the rain. But the truth is, if we're standing at the bus stop and light rainfall happens to fall upon us and we're carrying our complimentary umbrella, we honestly don't know how good we've got it. But in the US, your umbrella is practically useless. And on top of that, so are the buses sometimes. You see, in America, people love their cars.
Yeah, you definitely got to drive everywhere. I mean, in our next major city next to where I live, which is Dallas, they have buses and stuff, but the traffic is crazy. I don't know.
And on top of that, so are the buses sometimes. You see, in America, people love their cars. But back home, I never acquired one because so long as you lived in a relatively large town, the bus systems, no matter how much British people might moan, are relatively comprehensive. And when I say comprehensive, I mean that you can usually get a bus to the other side of town every 10 to 20 minutes. Here in the United States, I'm particularly thinking Indianapolis, I often had to wait between half an hour and an hour. In fairness, I think they have somewhat fixed that problem in the last few years. But you would expect that when you have a relatively large city. In Anderson, Indiana, where I first lived, I don't think I saw a bus in about 4 years, even though I was told there was a bus system there. And so if you're moving to the Midwest from Europe, just know that you'll probably have to get a car or several. In Britain and just, all across Europe, there's a certain look to how people dress. It's that kind of European look. I don't know how to describe it because I'm not a fashion expert, but I think the clothes, generally speaking, are more sleek. We can afford to dress more sleekly. Is that a word? Definitely because we obviously don't have temperatures that are more akin to Greenland. So in the winter, we can get away with, a trench coat. Do people still wear those? I do. Sometimes. Just not in the winter, because I live in Chicago. Here in the Midwest, specifically in winter, everybody dresses in the baggiest clothes you've ever seen. So baggy jeans, baggy shirts, baggy hoodies, baggy bags. And at first I thought...
I don't know when this video was made, but... I can say this. Nowadays, the clothes are definitely tighter these days. I don't think people wearing baggy. The clothes are definitely tighter and smaller. It seems like we reverting back to like the 70s, 80s clothing style when everything was like tight.
This was weird, right? But after a week of living in the United States, I became a baggy clothes convert. And that's because back then everything was a novelty. So I wanted to be outside experiencing it all. But to do that, you have to dress up in about 3 layers of flannel. And for my British audience, I'm not talking about washcloths. These days, I have reverted more back to my European ways, he says, sitting in his pajama bottoms. But that's because I no longer go outside or interact with anyone. I can't speak for the rest of the United States, but if there's something I know about Midwestern cuisine, it's that they put cheese in absolutely everything. So you got cheese curds, mac and cheese, Chicago-style pizza, cheeseburgers, cheese just on its own, chili topped with cheese, and a food item that looks like something that Indiana Jones would run away from, a cheese ball. And if that wasn't enough, one of the Midwestern states to the north of me, Wisconsin, has sort of made cheese its entire personality. Wisconsin produces more cheese than any other state in the union. It's got its own style of cheddar, ironically named after both the village and the cheese from England, and is even home to the unincorporated community of Cheeseville. Cheese. If you've been watching my channel this year, you'll know that the United States is absolutely jam-packed with regionalisms. Grinder is Boston slang. It's a word that is often used to describe a sub sandwich. It's often used to describe people who move from sort of colder climates in the US down to the south. I can't remember exactly what it is because we don't really have them in Chicago, so I don't bump into too many cougars. At least not this definition of the word. And the same is true of the Midwest. So for instance, when talking about fizzy drinks, Midwesterners usually refer to that as pop, whereas many other people in America say soda, or in the South they just say Coke to mean any type of fizzy drink. I've talked about puppy chow before, which is something that humans in theory eat and is not in fact dog food.
I never liked puppy chow, but yeah, I think There might be a dog brand that say Puppy Chow, but there is a food brand. This is like powdered cereal or something like that. It's powdered something.
Puppy Chow before, which is something that humans in theory eat and is not in fact dog food. Regionally, though, this goes by multiple different names, such as Monkey Munch, Muddy Buddies, Muddy Munch, Reindeer Chow, or Doggy Bag. And if you're ever in a situation where you're in a corridor and there's somebody coming toward you and you both do that thing where you're trying to get out of each other's way, that person will probably say, I did that the other day. Whereas I just learned to say, move! And how could I ever forget the word that my mother-in-law uses to describe what I refer to just broadly as a hoover, which is a vacuum cleaner. My mother-in-law calls it a sweeper. Basically, there are just lots of Midwestern words that I didn't encounter until I moved to the United States of America. To learn more, watch my recent video, guessing the meaning of these Midwestern words. To have a pediddle, to take a pediddle, that I don't even know what that means. In the meantime, that's it for this video. Let me know in the comments below if you've been to the Midwest or whether you live here. I'm Lawrence Brown. You can follow me on Twitter at LostInThePondUS, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel so that my videos don't get lost in the pond. And a huge thank you to my patrons who I get to talk to about this stuff on my Friday afternoon secret streams. If you would like to become a patron of Lost in the Pond, you can do so today at patreon.com/LostInThePond. Until the next video, goodbye.
Lost in the Pond. Oh, I wasn't subscribed. I need to check out the video with the words. That's gonna be interesting. That's gonna be interestingly cool. But no, yeah, some of those words I definitely don't know. Like I said, when you get to the U.S., most people think it's like everywhere is different depending on the state, but it's different by the city. It's not even different by I mean, of course, you're gonna have, once you go to a different state, you're gonna see the differences. But city to city, everything is just different. But yeah, cheese is everywhere. You get down here to Texas, we love cheese. We love barbecue. You probably have the best barbecue of your life if you come to Texas. Smoked meat, anything smoked, you're gonna have it here in Texas. Everything bigger and greater in Texas. You know what I'm saying? But that's all I have for this video. Y'all make sure y'all hit that subscribe button, send down those recommendations, and y'all be blessed, be the best, and be you.